Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the most transformative manifestation principles that have stood the test of time. Today, we're exploring what Neville Goddard considered the master key to all manifestation: living in the end. If you've been jumping from technique to technique, trying affirmations one week, visualization the next, and scripting after that, feeling exhausted and discouraged because nothing seems to stick, this video is going to change your entire approach. Because what if I told you that you don't need 100 different techniques? What if there was one core principle that, once understood and applied, would make everything else unnecessary? That's exactly what Neville Goddard taught. He said that all techniques, all methods, all practices are simply different ways of achieving one thing: living in the end. Once you truly understand what this means and how to do it, you'll realize why it's the only technique you'll ever need. So what does living in the end actually mean? Let's break it down in the simplest possible terms. Imagine you have a desire. Maybe it's a new career, a loving relationship, financial abundance, or perfect health. Most people live in the middle of the story. They're constantly aware of the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. They're focused on the journey, the struggle, the obstacles, and the waiting. But Neville taught something radically different. He said you must go to the end of the story in your imagination. You must assume the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. Not the feeling of it coming, not the hope that it might arrive someday, but the actual feeling of already having it, already being it, already living it. Think about it this way. When you achieve something in physical reality, how do you feel? There's a sense of completion, satisfaction, naturalness. You don't wonder if it's going to happen because it already has. You don't obsess over it because it's already yours. That's the feeling you need to cultivate now, before you see any physical evidence. Living in the end means you're not trying to get something. You're living from the assumption that you already have it. This is a complete reversal of how most people approach manifestation. Most people are living in the beginning or the middle, constantly aware of lack, constantly reaching for something outside themselves. Neville would say, do not be concerned with how it will come about. Your job is to define the end, to know what you want to experience, and then live in that end mentally until it becomes your physical reality. This isn't about pretending or denying your current circumstances. It's about understanding a profound truth. Your imagination is the creative power of the universe. When you imagine something and feel it as real, you're not just daydreaming. You're actually impressing your subconscious mind, which is connected to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all of reality. Your imagination is the workshop where your future is being built right now. The reason living in the end is the only technique you need is because it's not really a technique at all. It's a state of being. It's a shift in consciousness. All other techniques are just tools to help you achieve this shift. But once you can naturally dwell in the end, the techniques become unnecessary. Now, let's get practical. How do we actually do this? The first step is clarity. You must know, with absolute certainty, what you want. Don't be vague. If you want a new job, what does that job look like? What is your title? What are your responsibilities? How does your office feel? If you want a relationship, what are the qualities of that person, and how do you feel when you are with them? Be specific, because a general desire will only yield general, unsatisfactory results. Once you have your clear desire, you must construct a scene that implies the wish is already fulfilled. This is crucial. Your scene should not depict you getting the desire. It must depict a moment that happens after it has been fulfilled. For example, if you desire to be married, don't imagine the wedding. Instead, imagine a quiet evening months later. feeling the wedding ring on your finger as you talk with your spouse about your day. That feeling of naturalness and routine implies the wedding is a past event. This scene should be short, vivid, and full of feeling. The goal is to make it feel so real in your imagination that it carries the tones of reality. Use all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you touch? Most importantly, what do you feel? The feeling is the secret. You must generate the emotion of satisfaction, of relief, of joy, the feeling that it is done. The next step is to enter a state akin to sleep. Neville called this the state akin to sleep, or SATS. This is that drowsy, relaxed state you're in just before you fall asleep or just as you're waking up. In this state, your conscious mind is quiet, and the door to your subconscious is wide open. This is the fertile ground where you plant the seed of your desire. As you lie in this relaxed state, you bring your imaginal scene to mind. You loop it over and over again, like a short film. Each time you replay it, you infuse it with more feeling, more reality, more naturalness. You continue this process until you feel a sense of completion. You'll know you've succeeded when you feel a quiet confidence, a peaceful knowing that it is done. You then drift off to sleep in this assumption, carrying the feeling of the wish fulfilled into your subconscious mind. But living in the end doesn't stop when you open your eyes in the morning. This is where most people fall off. They have a powerful SAT session, but then they spend their entire day worrying, doubting, and looking for signs. This negates the work they did. The fourth step is to maintain the feeling, or the mood, of the wish fulfilled throughout your waking day. How do you do this? By mentally talking to yourself from the premise that your desire is already a fact. If you wanted that promotion, how would you think throughout the day? You'd be thinking about your new responsibilities, your upcoming projects, how you'll manage your new team. You wouldn't be thinking, I hope I get that promotion. You would be thinking from the reality of having it. This is a mental diet. You must consciously monitor your internal conversations and your reactions to the world. When a thought of doubt or lack arises, you don't fight it. You simply revise it. You return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's a gentle, persistent redirection of your attention back to your desired reality. Your inner world must reflect the end, even if your outer world doesn't yet. Let's address the elephant in the room. What about the 3D world? What about your current circumstances that seem to contradict your desire? This is the ultimate test, and it's where your faith is forged. Neville taught that you must persist in your assumption, regardless of what your senses tell you. Your physical reality is just a shadow of past assumptions. Before we can truly grasp the profound power of living in the end, it's essential to understand why so many people struggle to see their desires manifest, even when they diligently apply various techniques. Recognizing these common pitfalls is the first step toward avoiding them and finally achieving the success you deserve. The single most significant reason people fail is that they live in the process of getting their desire, rather than in the end state of already having it. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine someone desires a new, fulfilling job. They might spend their time visualizing themselves acing interviews. They may repeat affirmations like, I am attracting a great job offer, or they might script journal entries about receiving an exciting call from a recruiter. On the surface, this all seems correct, but look closer. All these actions are focused on the journey, the middle of the story. They are fixated on the bridge of incidents, the how it will happen, rather than the destination itself. Living in the end is a completely different state of being. It means you mentally inhabit the reality where the job is already yours. You are not getting it. you have it. Your imaginal scenes should be moments that could only occur after your wish has been fulfilled. Picture yourself sitting at your new desk, feeling a sense of belonging and confidence as a colleague leans over to ask for your input on a project. Or imagine yourself at dinner with a friend, casually recounting a funny story from your workday. These scenes carry the implicit assumption that the job is a done deal, that is the end. The second major barrier to manifestation is what Neville Goddard referred to as double-mindedness. This is when a person performs their imaginal act at night, filling themselves with the wonderful feeling of their wish fulfilled, only to spend the entire following day contradicting that very feeling. They wake up and their first thought is of their current, unwanted circumstances. They check their bank account and are flooded with feelings of lack and anxiety. They move through their day operating from a state of want, not a state of having. Neville was clear on this point. You cannot serve two masters. It is impossible to successfully assume you possess something in your imagination while simultaneously entertaining the assumption that you lack it in your waking consciousness. Your dominant state of being is what ultimately hardens into fact. If you dedicate 5 minutes to living in the end, and the remaining 23 hours and 55 minutes to living in a state of lack, which state do you think will prevail? The scales are heavily tipped against your desire. The third reason people fail is a combination of impatience and a constant search for external signs. After doing their imaginal work, they immediately start scanning their 3D reality for any shred of evidence that it's working. They ask themselves, is it happening yet? I don't see anything changing. Maybe I did it wrong. This relentless checking is, in itself, a powerful affirmation of absence. When you genuinely possess something, you don't anxiously look for proof of its existence. Its presence is a given. Consider something in your life that you hold as an undeniable truth. It could be your name, your current address, or a secure relationship you cherish. Do you wake up each morning and frantically check to confirm these things are still real? Do you look for signs that you still have your name or that you still live in your home? Of course not. These things are natural, assumed, and taken for granted. This is the exact state of consciousness, that feeling of naturalness, that you must cultivate regarding your desire. It must become just as real and unquestioned as your own name. A fourth significant obstacle is an attachment to a specific form or timing of the manifestation. People often create a rigid and highly detailed mental movie of precisely how their desire must unfold and exactly when it must arrive. They become fixated on this one specific pathway, and if reality doesn't conform perfectly to their script, they become frustrated and disheartened. Similarly, they might set a hard deadline, deciding their desire must manifest by a certain date. When that date passes without the desired outcome, they often fall into despair and abandon their assumption. Neville's teaching advises us to define the end state with clarity and feeling, but to release our grip on the how and the when. Your responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The universe, or your subconscious mind's infinite intelligence, will then orchestrate the means to bring it into being. This process often unfolds in ways that are far more brilliant and perfect than you could have ever conceived. Trusting this process is key. The fifth reason people often struggle is that they mistake activity for accomplishment. They fall into the trap of believing that the more techniques they employ, the more they visualize, affirm, script, and listen to subliminals, the faster their desire will materialize. But Neville's teachings were never about the quantity of techniques. It was always about the quality of consciousness. You could perform 100 different manifestation rituals a day and, Achieve nothing if you fail to genuinely shift your internal state. Conversely, you could simply rest in the quiet, confident feeling of your wish fulfilled for just a few moments, and set in motion a complete transformation of your reality. Finally, and perhaps most fundamentally, people fail because, deep down, they don't truly believe their desire is possible for them. They may accept the law of assumption on an intellectual level. They might see it work for others or for what they consider small things. But within their own consciousness, they harbor limiting beliefs and exceptions. They think, this works for everyone else, but I'm different. Or, it can manifest a parking spot, but not $1 million. Or, it might happen someday, but it will take a very long time. These internal limiting beliefs act as the architects of the very limitations they fear. Neville would often quote the scripture, "All things are possible to him who believes." Notice, it does not say some things or probable things. It says all things. The only limitations that exist are the ones you construct and accept within your own mind. Your journey to mastery begins with dismantling those self-imposed walls and daring to believe in the limitless power of your own wonderful human imagination. Now let's get into the practical mechanics. How exactly do you live in the end? What does it look like in practice? This is where the theory becomes a tangible, life-altering discipline, and it's simpler than you might think. First, you need to define your end clearly. What is the end result you desire? Not the process, not the journey, but the final outcome. Be clear about what you want to experience. Neville always emphasized that you need to know what you want. You can't live in the end if you don't know what the end looks like. This initial step requires a moment of profound honesty with yourself. Vague desires lead to vague results. You must crystallize your vision. Take some time to really think about this. What does life look like when this desire is fulfilled? How do you feel? How do you move through your day? What's different? Get crystal clear on the end state. Don't just say, "I want to be rich." Define what rich means to you. Is it a specific number in your bank account? Is it the freedom to travel without worrying about costs? Is it the ability to support your family effortlessly? The more specific your definition of the end, the more potent your assumption will be. Once you've defined your end, the next step is to construct a simple scene that implies the wish is already fulfilled. This goes back to what we discussed with SATs, but it applies to living in the end more broadly. Your scene should be something that would naturally happen after you already have what you desire. This is a critical distinction that many people miss. They visualize the moment of receiving the good news, but that implies it hasn't happened yet. You must go beyond that moment to a point where the desire is an established, normal part of your life. If you desire financial abundance, don't imagine receiving a check in the mail or winning the lottery. Instead, imagine an everyday scene that confirms your wealth. Perhaps you're paying for an expensive dinner with friends without even glancing at the bill, feeling a sense of complete ease. Or you're looking at your investment portfolio online and feeling secure and satisfied. If you desire a specific person, don't imagine them confessing their love for the first time. Imagine a quiet, intimate moment that could only happen if you're already in a committed, established relationship, like casually making breakfast together on a Sunday morning. The scene must imply fulfillment. The scene should be short, simple, and sensory-rich. It should be from a first-person perspective, meaning you're experiencing it, not watching it like a movie. You are the actor on the stage, not the audience. And most importantly, it should generate the feeling of fulfillment in you. The feeling is the secret. Now here's where living in the end becomes more than just a visualization technique. You're not just imagining this scene once a day and then forgetting about it. You're using this scene to shift your entire state of consciousness. The scene is like a tuning fork that helps you find the right frequency, the frequency of the wish fulfilled. It's your anchor, your point of return. Throughout your day, whenever you think about your desire, you return to this scene briefly, or you return to the feeling it generates. You retraining your consciousness to naturally dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled rather than in the state of wanting or lacking. Neville used the word assumption constantly. To assume something means to take it for granted, to accept it as fact even without physical evidence. When you truly live in the end, your desire moves from being a wish or a hope to being an assumption. It becomes something you simply know to be true about your reality, even if your physical senses haven't confirmed it yet. You walk, talk, and think from the perspective of the person who already has what they want. It is no longer a future possibility. It is your present reality, just waiting to be externalized. Let me give you a powerful example Neville shared. He told a story of a man who wanted to go to Barbados, but had no money and no apparent way to make the trip happen. His physical reality screamed impossibility. Instead of focusing on getting money or finding a way the how, the man simply assumed he was *and Barbados. He lived in the end. He would lie in bed at night in his New York apartment and imagine himself in a hotel room in Barbados. He'd feel the tropical breeze on his skin, hear the distant sound of the waves, smell the salty ocean air, and feel the gritty sand between his toes in his imagination. He lived in that end repeatedly, night after night, until that imaginary state felt more real to him than his current circumstances. Within a short time, a series of unexpected events occurred. A relative, out of the blue, decided to send him a substantial monetary gift and suggested he take a vacation. The trip to Barbados was not only possible but became an effortless reality. The man didn't manipulate or force anything in the external world. He simply held the assumption, lived in the end, and reality rearranged itself to match his inner state. This is the key. You're not trying to make something happen. You're not using force of will. You're not fighting against your current reality. You are simply occupying the state of consciousness of someone who already has what you desire. And that state, by its very nature, must externalize itself as your physical reality. Your imagination is the only reality, and the physical world is just a shadow reflecting what you are doing in your mind. By changing your inner state, the outer world has no choice but to conform. It is the law. Another crucial aspect of living in the end is what Neville called a mental diet. This is about monitoring and controlling your inner conversations and thoughts throughout the day. This isn't about being a rigid, exhausting thought policeman, but about practicing gentle awareness. When you notice yourself thinking from a state of lack, from fear, from doubt, when your inner talk contradicts your desired end, you gently redirect yourself back to the end. You don't argue with a negative thought or feel guilty for having it. You simply change the channel. If you're manifesting a specific relationship and you catch yourself thinking, "I'm so alone. They'll never choose me. I'll never find anyone," you stop that inner conversation and redirect. You might briefly recall your sensory-rich scene of being with them, feeling the love and security. Or you might simply affirm to yourself, "I am loved. I am in a beautiful, committed relationship." You're not fighting the negative thought. You're simply choosing a different thought, a different state that aligns with your fulfilled desire. This is a practice of mental discipline and self-love. This becomes easier with practice. At first, you might catch yourself falling into old patterns of negative thinking many times a day. That's okay. Don't be discouraged. Each time you redirect is a victory. Each time you consciously choose to return to the state of the wish fulfilled, you are strengthening that new state of consciousness and weakening the old one. You are literally rewiring your brain and your being. Over time, living in the end becomes your default state, rather than something you have to consciously and effortfully maintain. It becomes natural to feel loved, to feel abundant, to feel healthy, because you have so persistently dwelled in that state in your imagination that it has become your new home. Let's now address some of the most common questions and challenges that people encounter when they first try to apply the principle of living in the end. This is where theory meets practice, and understanding these points can make all the difference between success and frustration. Question 1 is often the first and biggest hurdle. How can I possibly feel fulfilled when my physical, 3D reality is showing me the complete opposite of what I desire? This is, without a doubt, the most challenging aspect of this entire teaching, and Neville Goddard addressed it directly and repeatedly. He explained that you must fundamentally understand what your physical reality represents. Your current circumstances are not a real-time report on what you're creating now. They are a delayed reflection, an echo of your past assumptions. What you are seeing, hearing, and touching today is the harvest of the mental seeds you planted days, weeks, or even months ago. When you decide to change your assumption right now, there is an inherent time lag before that new state externalizes and becomes your physical reality. This delay, this buffer of time, is actually a great blessing. Imagine if every fleeting thought, every momentary fear or passing fancy, instantly manifested around you. Our lives would be chaotic and unmanageable. This lag gives us a space to choose, to stabilize, and to persist in a new desired state of consciousness. However, it also demands that we hold fast to our new assumption with faith, even while the old unwanted reality is still playing out before our very eyes. As Neville would often say, you must stop allowing the evidence of your senses to dictate your inner assumption. It is the other way around. Your persistent assumption dictates what your senses will eventually perceive. This requires a profound faith, not in some external deity or capricious force, but an unwavering faith in the creative power that is your own wonderful human imagination, your own consciousness. Practically speaking, this means you must learn to acknowledge your current circumstances without emotionally reacting to them or giving them the power to derail your inner state. You look at the unwanted situation and think, yes, I see this. I acknowledge its presence, but I know it's just the past made visible, a shadow of old thinking. I am now dwelling in a new reality, a new assumption, and this is what will shortly be made visible as my experience. You don't deny the facts of the 3D world, you simply deny their power over you. This leads us to the second common question. Do I have to be in the state of the wish fulfilled every single second of every single day? Is that even possible? The answer is a resounding no, and attempting to do so is a misunderstanding that leads to burnout. Neville never taught that you need to maintain a state of perfect, unbroken conscious awareness 24/7. What he emphasized is that your dominant state, your habitual inner dwelling place, is what ultimately matters and creates your reality. Think of it like steering a large ship across the ocean. You don't need to have your hands gripped tightly on the wheel for every single second of the journey to reach your destination. You set your course, you point the ship in the right direction, and then you make periodic adjustments as needed to stay on track. Similarly, you establish your new assumption, your new destination, through repeated, deliberate acts of imagination, returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Then, you go about your day, living your life as naturally as possible from that new foundational belief. If negative thoughts, doubts, or fears arise, and they will, you don't panic or believe you've ruined the entire process. You simply notice them, and then gently but firmly redirect your mind back to your desired state, just as you would adjust the ship's course when a wave knocks it slightly off track. What truly matters is the overall direction you're consistently moving in, the dominant assumption you return to, not whether you have perfect moment-to-moment control of every single thought. The third question we often hear is, what if I'm trying to live in the end, but I don't actually feel anything? I'm imagining, but there's no emotional charge. This is a very common challenge, especially because people interpret the word feeling differently. Some individuals are naturally more emotional and can easily conjure up states of joy, excitement, or relief. Others are more analytical or mental by nature and struggle to generate these strong emotions on command. Here is what Neville would clarify. The feeling he spoke of is not necessarily a powerful, overwhelming emotion. It is more accurately described as a sense of conviction, a quiet knowing, a deep-seated certainty. It is the subtle but profound difference between hoping something might be true and simply knowing that it is true. When you genuinely know something, there's a quality of inner peace and certainty that accompanies it, even if there isn't a lot of high-octane emotional excitement. If you struggle to generate strong feelings, shift your focus to cultivating the sense of naturalness. Think about something in your life that is an absolute, undeniable fact. You don't get emotionally worked up about breathing air, because it's a natural, constant, and assumed part of your existence. When your desired reality begins to feel that natural, that ordinary, that much of a given, when you can think of it with the simple sense of course, that is mine, then you have successfully entered the correct state. Now for question 4. Can I live in the end from multiple desires at the same time? The answer is yes, but with an important caveat. If you are truly and successfully living from the end, you are not spending your day effortfully juggling and maintaining multiple separate imaginal scenes. That would be a strain. Instead, you are living from a single expanded state of consciousness that naturally includes all of your fulfilled desires as simple facts of your life. Consider your current reality. You don't struggle to remember that you possess multiple things simultaneously. You have a name, you live in a home, you have certain relationships, you own various possessions. All these facts coexist naturally and effortlessly within your awareness. In the same way, when you are truly living from the end, your fulfilled desires for health, wealth, and love can all coexist as natural components of your new, expanded sense of self. However, if you are still new to this principle and are building your imaginal muscle, it is often much easier and more effective to focus on one primary desire at a time. Consciously manifest one major goal first. Once you have successfully taken a single desire from imagination to physical reality through living in the end, you will have an unshakable inner conviction based on experience. You'll understand the process firsthand, and it will then become much easier to apply it to multiple areas of your life simultaneously. Finally, we come to the fifth and perhaps most misunderstood point. What about taking action? Am I supposed to just sit on my couch and imagine all day, or do I actually need to do things in the real world? This is a massive misconception about Neville's teachings. Living in the end absolutely does not mean becoming passive or inert. The crucial difference is the source of your action. Your actions must spring from the consciousness of already having your desire. rather than from the consciousness of trying to get it. When you truly assume and live from the end state, you will find that certain actions feel natural, inspired, and even obvious. You will feel a gentle nudge or a clear impulse to do things that are in perfect alignment with your new state of consciousness, and you'll do them without a sense of struggle, force, or anxiety. These are not actions you take to make something happen. They are the actions that flow naturally from the person you have already become in consciousness. For instance, someone who is living in the end of being financially abundant might suddenly feel a natural inspiration to organize their finances, to research an investment opportunity, or to enroll in a course to develop a valuable new skill. These actions feel joyful, logical, and productive, not desperate, needy, or fearful. They are the natural expressions of an abundant consciousness, not the frantic scrambles of a consciousness rooted in lack. As Neville often said, your subconscious mind, God within you, will arrange the bridge of incidents necessary to bring your assumption into reality. Your job is not to build the bridge, but to have the faith to walk across it when it appears before you. This means staying aware and being open to taking inspired action, while completely releasing the need to force, control, or figure out the how. Now let us explore some deeper insights that will take your understanding of living in the end to a more advanced level. First, understand that living in the end is really about identity transformation. Neville taught that you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. When you live in the end, you're not trying to get something external. You're becoming the person who already has it. This is a subtle but profound shift. Instead of "I want to be wealthy," you become someone who is wealthy in consciousness. Instead of "I want to be loved," you become someone who is loved, who is lovable, who experiences love as a natural part of life. The external manifestation is simply the reflection of this inner identity. This is why affirmations often fail. People affirm, "I am wealthy," while feeling poor inside. The words don't match the state, but when you live in the end, there's no contradiction. You're not trying to convince yourself of something. You're actually experiencing it in imagination so vividly and consistently that it becomes your reality. Neville had a powerful concept he called the pruning shears of revision. This is a technique that supports living in the end. At the end of each day, you review your day, and any events or moments that contradicted your desired end. You revise them in imagination. You replay them the way you wish they had happened. This serves two purposes. First, it prevents you from solidifying unwanted experiences in your consciousness. Second, it keeps you practicing the state of the wish fulfilled. If something happened today that made you feel unloved, you revise it before sleep. You imagine it happening in a way that made you feel loved. This keeps you dwelling in the end even when daily events seem to contradict it. Another advanced insight: living in the end creates a new past. This might sound strange, but Neville taught that when you change your assumption, you don't just change your future. You actually recontextualize your past. Events that seemed like failures or obstacles are suddenly revealed to have been perfect stepping stones. This is because meaning is not fixed. The meaning you assign to your past depends on your current state of consciousness. When you live in the end of success, your past struggles become evidence of your strength and resilience. When you live in the end of love, your past relationships become lessons that led you to deeper understanding. Let's talk about persistence. Neville emphasized this constantly. He said you must persist in your assumption until it hardens into fact. What does this mean practically? It means you don't give up when you don't see immediate results. It means you don't waver when physical circumstances seem to contradict your assumption. It means you consistently return to the state of the wish fulfilled, day after day, until that state becomes so natural that you don't even think about it anymore. He gave the example of a ladder. You imagine climbing a ladder. You live in the end of having climbed the ladder. You persist in this assumption. And then, often when you've forgotten about it, circumstances arrange themselves so that you actually climb a ladder. The key is the persistence in the assumption between the imaginal act and the physical manifestation. One of the most profound applications of living in the end is for personal transformation. If you want to be more confident, you don't work on building confidence. You simply assume you are confident. You live in the end of being a confident person. You imagine situations where your confidence is evident. You move through your day as a confident person would move. Very quickly, that assumption becomes your reality. This applies to any quality or trait. Want to be healthy? Assume you are healthy. Live in the end of perfect health. Want to be successful? Assume you are successful. Live in the end of success. The external evidence will follow the internal assumption. Neville also taught about living in the end for others. If someone you care about is struggling, you can hold the assumption of their success, health, or happiness. In your imagination, you see them as you wish them to be. You might imagine them telling you good news, or you might simply hold the feeling of them being well and happy. This isn't about controlling others or denying their free will. It's about recognizing that your consciousness creates your experience of others. When you change your assumption about someone, your experience of them changes. Often, they seem to change as well, though Neville would say they're always reflecting your inner assumptions. Here's a subtle but important point. Living in the end includes living in the end of being someone who successfully applies these principles. If you assume this never works for me, or I'm not good at manifesting, you're living in the end of failure. Instead, assume you're someone for whom this works perfectly. Live in the end of being a masterful creator. This meta-assumption supports all your other manifestations. As we bring this all together, let us talk about how to truly master living in the end and integrate it into your life so completely that it becomes effortless. The ultimate goal is for living in the end to become your natural state, not something you have to consciously practice. In the beginning, yes, you will need to consciously redirect your thoughts and repeatedly return to your imaginal scene. But over time, dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled becomes automatic. How do you reach this point? You achieve it through consistent practice and by making it a game rather than a burden. Don't approach living in the end with grim determination or desperation. Approach it with a sense of playfulness and curiosity. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to already have this? Let me try it on and see. Neville often said that imagination is the workshop of creation. It's essential that you spend time in your workshop and make it an enjoyable experience. When you imagine your fulfilled desire, truly let yourself feel the joy, the satisfaction, and the relief that comes with it. Don't make it a chore. Make it the best part of your day. One powerful practice is to catch yourself throughout the day and ask a simple question. Am I living from the end right now? Or am I living from lack? If you find yourself worrying, stressing, or obsessing over your desire, you're living from lack. When this happens, gently redirect yourself. What would I be thinking about if this were already done? How would I feel? What would my energy be like? Often, when something is truly done and settled in your mind, you actually think about it less, not more. You are not obsessing over it because it is already handled. This feeling is a clear sign you are successfully living in the end. You feel peaceful about it. You have lost the urgency and desperation, and you trust completely that it is done. Another sign of mastery is when you start seeing evidence in small ways before the full manifestation appears. These are what some people call bridges of incidents. You might notice little synchronicities, unexpected opportunities appearing, people saying relevant things, or circumstances shifting slightly in your favor. These are all indications that your new assumption is beginning to externalize and take form in your world. When you notice these signs, acknowledge them with gratitude, but do not become obsessed with looking for more. Remember, you are living in the end, which means it is already done. The signs are nice confirmations, but you do not need them to know that your desire is real and on its way. Let's talk about what happens when your manifestation arrives. This is an important part of the process. When your desire manifests in your physical reality, receive it naturally, just as you would receive something you have been expecting. Do not be shocked or overly surprised. A part of you always knew it was coming because you have been living in that reality internally. And here is something Neville taught that many people miss. Once something manifests, you do not need to keep working to maintain it through constant visualization. It is now a part of your reality. It is sustained by your natural assumption that it is yours. You maintain it simply by accepting it as a natural part of your life and not contradicting it with new doubts or fears. Now, what about when things do not seem to manifest or when you face setbacks? This is where true mastery is tested. Neville taught that sometimes there's a period of darkness just before the dawn. Sometimes things seem to get worse before they get better. This is often just the old assumption playing itself out before the new one fully takes hold. In these moments, you must stand firm in your new assumption. Neville would call this entering the Sabbath, which is a state of rest. You have done the work in your imagination. Now you rest in the confidence that it is done, regardless of what your senses tell you. This does not mean you deny what you see. It means you do not let what you see change the assumption you hold within. Think of it like planting a seed. You plant the seed, you water it, and then you leave it alone. You do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You trust the natural process. Living in the end requires this same kind of trust. You have planted the seed in your imagination. Now trust that it is growing beneath the surface, even when you cannot see it yet. One of Neville's most beautiful teachings is that the purpose of all this is not just to get things. Yes, you can use these principles to manifest specific desires, and that is wonderful. But the deeper purpose is to awaken to your own creative power, to realize that you are the operant power in your life, and to understand that consciousness is the only reality. When you truly grasp that your imagination creates your reality, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop blaming external factors for the conditions of your life. You take responsibility, not in a burdensome way, but in an empowering way. You realize that if you created what you are experiencing now through your past assumptions, you have the power to create something different through new assumptions. This is liberation. This is true freedom. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of your imagination, your assumptions, and your consciousness. As you continue to practice living in the end, you will notice that life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. You are not fighting against reality, you are creating it. You are not trying to get something from the universe. You are simply expressing what is already within you. Neville's final lesson is perhaps the most important. Everyone is you pushed out. Everything in your reality, every person, every circumstance, every event is a reflection of your own consciousness. When you truly understand this, You realize that changing your world is not about manipulating external factors. It is simply about changing what you are aware of, what you assume, and what you accept as true. Living in the end is the only technique you will ever need, because it encompasses everything. It is not just a visualization method or an affirmation practice. It is a complete reorientation of how you relate to reality. It is the recognition that the end is already here in your imagination, and that imagination is the creative force of the universe. So today, right now, choose your end. What do you want to experience? Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? Define it clearly and then live in that end. Not tomorrow, not after you see signs, not when circumstances change. Now, live in it now. In your imagination, with such conviction and consistency that it becomes more real than your current circumstances. Your imagination is the doorway between what is and what can be. Walk through that door. Live in the end. And watch as your internal reality becomes your external experience. If you found this deep dive into living in the end valuable, if you are ready to stop chasing techniques and start mastering the one principle that makes all manifestation possible, do me a favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I am committed to bringing you the deepest, most practical teachings on manifestation and consciousness, and your support helps me continue this mission. Drop a comment below and let me know what end you are living in starting today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.